When most of us think of a United States veteran, we think valor, bravery, and sacrifice of those who served to defend and at times fight for freedom and liberty. So why is it that veterans make up roughly 11% of adults experiencing homelessness? 70% of veterans experiencing homelessness also experience substance abuse, and 50% live with mental illness like post-traumatic stress disorder. That has to change. Welcome to Operation Purpose. This show is for those men and women. We want to combat that veteran suicide, that homelessness, and to help them find a place where they feel wanted. Welcome to Operation Purpose. This is your host, John C. Hansen.
Yeah, we all have our own experience and how it affects us. Hopefully no one's out there kicking the dog and, whatever else, but God forbid. So, that council that you've been having since 2004, I assume that's been pretty effective.
It's as effective as it can be.
Sure.
On a daily basis. Now, having said that, COVID took us out of the opportunity to meet face to face. So our facilitator or therapist made arrangements for us to have conference calls where we can all, dial in and talk to each other. And that's helpful. That's helpful. But, maybe in one of our next shows, we can talk about PTSD, combat trauma, all of those things as they relate singularly to themselves. But now we have a force multiplier in COVID-19. And how are we doing with the restrictions or the specter of COVID hanging over us each and every day? Personally, I'm pretty good at isolating.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at isolating. And big crowds, social events, a lot of that stuff doesn't interest me.
Not a big fan of it.
One bit. So the idea of staying home, I was like, well, yeah, what else do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you want me to wear a mask when I'm out in public? Well, I'm pretty good with that. I wore a mask 38 years.
Sure.
When I was out in public. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nobody saw the real me.
You. Yep.
Me. Nobody saw the real guy.
Right.
Once upon a time, I wrote a little poem called Fences and Flowers. Wish I could find a copy of it.
You'll have to look for that.
It's a story about the coping mechanisms that I developed over the years. Remember, 20-some years, not even a diagnosis.
You had to cope somehow.
I had to cope.
Right.
And so how in the world did I retire as a senior master sergeant? I had to hide behind a fence, and I had to have all kinds of beautiful flowers and shrubs out front. So when people looked at my fence, that's what they saw. Yeah. They didn't see the fence, and they didn't see me. And I was able to maneuver and navigate through this emotional minefield for 20 years.
Wow.
20 years.
Wow. Yeah.
A lot of self-medication in there. Now, I'm going to give Bacardi and Ron Rico some credit.
I hear you.
I hate to admit it, but they didn't offer any medication for those times. So I discovered that worked pretty good.
That was it?
To a point. And then you get older.
Yes. And
then you don't have the stamina. You don't have the energy. You don't have
back.
Where they say fatigue makes cowards of us all.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. You get tired.
Sure.
And that's what happened. That took me until 2003. So another 15 years.
To actually raise your hand and say, I need to
help me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I'd love to do too is in the future get psychologist, psychiatrist, someone, I'd love for you to join too, but on to the listeners or video or audio, whatever we're doing, but have someone get on as well, and we could ask some questions out to the to those involved of the conversation. And I think I'd enjoy it. I'd hope someone else would enjoy that as well.
We've talked briefly about inpatient therapy.
Right.
Just what that entails, and yeah, it's got that connotation, that lockdown connotation. You're there, you can't go anywhere.
Sure.
You have to stay there. you got to get past that. And that's hard at first, but I went, and that's over at Topeka.
That's like 6 weeks or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 9 weeks at that time, but I think they got it down to 6 weeks. I'm sure the staff has changed there.
I'm sure.
But in my time there, I'm an 04 graduate. They're lifesavers. Yeah. I mean, they absolutely can get inside your head and help you to understand and have the courage to bring these memories out and look at them. The stuff that had been eating me up for years, decades, came out there.
Wow.
It's scary, but at the same time, when you go there, you know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
You are not alone.
How many others were there with you, do you think?
I'm going to say that our class load at the time I was there was 24. And one thing about it, John, is they do it or did it at that time in a very unique way. You didn't go in all together on the same day. So it was day one square run, 24 people.
Sure.
You come in individually and you kind of filter in and you start moving along your way. And there are others there who have withers, so to speak. They've been there a while and they help you. When you have a tough night or you're having a tough day, they will stop at the time to help you calm down and take a break and whatever. The beauty of it is that every Friday we have graduation.
Oh.
So someone is completing the course every Friday, and that really gives you something to look forward to.
Sure.
And it gives you something to celebrate. And as you get to know these people, you see the progress they make, you see how happy they are, and you see kind of a contentment and a new commitment to getting on with life.
Now, are you still in touch with those?
Well, go ahead.
Are you still in touch with them? Most of them, if not all of them.
Some. Yeah, I took a couple road trips. I was way down in Texas and out in Arizona and California, and I made some road trips around to see them.
Yeah.
But something was interesting. There was 3 or 4 of them that loved to stay in touch, and then there was 3 or 4 that just said, "Hey, that was then. This is today."
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can understand.
That's a while back. Yeah. I suppose they want to let things go. And I suppose, they kind of received their therapy at that place, and they wanted to leave a lot of things at that place.
Yeah.
Let it die, if you will.
Leave a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And,
that was in Topeka.
Yeah.
At the VA.
So, I would, at the VA, and I would say, I can't speak for them, but that may be an excellent source for a professional who may want to talk about some of these therapy programs, and kind of give your viewers and listeners an opportunity to have a better feel for what that is. Sometimes the coffee room gossip is not necessarily the truth of what's really happening. And I know Dr. John and Dr. Tom, they were amazing people, and they got right down to the gut level with you.
Really? Were they military themselves, or no? Not that they needed.
Dr. Tom
was he?
But yeah, that was the best 9 weeks of my life.
Wow. So yeah, we'll have to see if we can't get a certified professional on it. But I want
to tell you a little story.
That'd be huge.
This is just a little quick story here before we transition to wherever we're going. So when I retired, came back, and of course hooked up with your dad, and all your friends and everything. And of course I had ceased the self-medicating.
Yeah. So this is late 80s?
Yeah, late 80s. Yeah.
Late 80s. Yeah.
88. Yeah. And came home, and like I say, I just did not have the stamina to self-medicate, so now I'm doing this stuff sober.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't even describe some of the days and nights.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, but your dad said something to me really interesting one time. And, your dad is a very effervescent guy. He's very high energy and, got a great sense of humor. And, there was some stuff he wanted to do. I remember there was a Rent-A-Gent auction.
Rent-A-Gent, sure.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I sure do.
And so he wanted me to get involved and be one of the ringmen, this fundraiser for charity.
Fundraiser, right.
And I did that one year, and I thought I was going to come out of my skin. I mean, people everywhere. I mean, they were
really all over, hundreds of people.
Yeah, auction
and they were auctioning
auction off men, dates.
Gents, rent a date. So to raise money for charity. Yeah.
Right. And one guy, he offered a 3-day, 2-night vacation to Vegas. That was his vacation. I think that went for $1,800 way back then,
Wow.
But anyway, it was not a great experience for me, because, and I didn't know why, but because. And so the next year came around, I'm not going to go. And your dad said to me, Marv, he said, don't take this the wrong way. He said, you're just really different. You're not the Marv I used to.
Sure.
And I looked at him and said, well, that might be a good thing.
Do you have any idea what was going on? Or just attitudes changed, the way you saw life had changed, how you feel about things?
Really angry.
Changed, always angry.
Yeah.
Easily
really
angry.
Yeah. Angry, short fuse.
Sure.
Very suspicious of other people, not trust. Still have issues with trust.
Right.
But, I revert back to the days on the farm, the carefree days growing up as a farm kid, 4-H, Future Farmers of America, animals, hay baling.
Oh, it was great.
Homecoming.
Right.
All of those things, And then this race through 20 years of time, 20 plus year time, and I come out the other end and it's kind of like Back to the Future, I'm lost. I'm absolutely lost. And I don't know why. And so you said you had 11 jobs after you retired. And I was there at your retirement ceremony. I was honored to be there.
I was blessed to have you. Absolutely. It was wonderful.
You pull the plug. That was wonderful. Thank you again for the invite to be part of that special day in history. But, so here, and I echo what you had to say. I came out. I didn't know what I was going to do. I started working for American Crystal Sugar up there in a grunt job. I mean, the dirtiest, nastiest job you could find in the factory. Just
sugar beets.
Yeah. I went from being an aircraft maintenance superintendent.
Yeah.
27 F-15s, 280 people, right?
Right.
I went from that to down in the bottom of the rock picker, cleaning out slush and mud and ice and chunks. And
huge adjustment, wasn't it?
Up to my chest
in
splot. And I do that day after day or night after night, rotating shifts. But I got promoted, got a really great job with American Crystal. And I was with them almost 5 years. And
that in Crookston or Hillsboro?
I was in Hillsboro, and then I went to Crookston as a maintenance planner, right up in my wheelhouse. And then, boom, one day, 54 of us middle-level managers lost their job.
Oh, wow.
Now, what do you think that did to me?
You weren't a happy man, were you?
No.
And now you're looking for employment.
From that point in 1993 until 2003, when I got a diagnosis, I had 27 jobs.
From
10 years.
From 93 to 03.
27
jobs.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know in our previous conversations, you'd mentioned, I thought you mentioned 24, but 27. I couldn't remember if that was from the time you retired to now, present day, but it was that a 10-year span only.
10-year span, 27 jobs.
Wow.
I mean, I worked for Boeing, experimental aircraft, all big job. I worked for the Department of Corrections in the state of Kansas. I made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for Smuckers.
Oddly enough, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a peanut butter jelly, I guess.
I wasn't going to go hungry, but that's all I had. That was toward the end. That was like 01, 2.
Gotcha.
2, yeah. Making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Boy,
yeah.
27.
And then my last job, I was a flagman on a road crew. We were laying asphalt, county road. That was my last job.
Is that down in Kansas?
Yeah, I got diagnosed one day, and they immediately, that was full court press. When I first, I was very fortunate. I met a doctor by the name of Jeremy Crosby. He's probably the PTSD guru of all gurus.
Really?
And I was under his care for a while. And, they kind of fast track more work for you. We're done.
No, and I think that's crucial too. 27 and 10 years. I've had, it was 10 or 11 since March 1st of 2015, so 5.5 years, pushing 6 years. And, it wasn't finding your place because the military draws you into such a camaraderie, especially lifers, those that, have been in really not even life, but a significant amount of time, over 10 years, I imagine. But you're used to that camaraderie, that direction, and also the leading aspect. You were used to managing. I was used to managing, and you go from managing tens or hundreds of airmen personnel to waist deep in sludge. I mean, it's a huge change. It plays on your psyche, and it would. But so for those that might be out there listening or watching, you're not alone.
Oh, you are
not alone. And we're going to do at least one, probably more. I may be putting the carriage before the horse, but how it draws you to the worst possible scenario, and that is that of suicide.
Yeah.
To sidebar a little bit, how veteran suicide used to be at a 22 average through the year a day. I'll say, fortunately, got to see a light somewhere, but down to an average of 17 a day. So now we're at 17, but still at 17 too many. And we'd love to talk about that, and hopefully someone that might be listening can know that you're not alone, because you need to understand there's a purpose. You have a greater purpose, and our Creator has given us a greater purpose, and we can be excited to know that there's just a brother or sister just a call away, just a message away. So no, I'm excited. To what we have in store, and it can be some interesting stuff. So here lays a new beginning, or a start, I guess, for something great. So well, what was going to be a little short conversation is turned. Yeah, it took a little longer. I'm looking 40.
What are we on to?
It's 48 minutes.
Oh, good. Well, we should do 12 more minutes, and you can have an hour that you can edit.
So unless we edit it into a two-parter, I don't know.
Well, you could probably break and edit this in several pieces. But one thing I want to share tonight about this transition from farm kid to military to lifer to retired veteran, Vietnam vet. I, throughout my lifetime, felt the stigma of various periods in my life, various attachment types of stigma that are attached to a person based on this false presumption or false narrative that the public may have. We talk about the Vietnam experience, and then how we were all grouped into that we were less than human, for serving over there, and that we essentially didn't deserve any veteran benefits. I recall stepping into a VFW club, and I won't know where, and at the end of the bar was the old guard, if you will, and I walked in, and I was 21, and I was wanting to join the VFW. And the three guys at the end of the bar said, you one of them Vietnam guys?
Oh, boy.
And I said, well, yes, I am. Veteran of a foreign war. That wasn't any war,
Oh.
And just really got ugly from there. And
were they Korean War?
Korean, and one was Korean and two were World War II. And so I was going to engage them, and then I thought better of it, and Ernie was the name of the bartender, and I just said, tell you what, Ernie, another time. So that was a stigma that was attached. Yeah. And then going through life as a career military person, that's another stigma, because you hear the thing lifer, or NCO, no chance outside, Remember that one?
Yeah, sure.
So then here you are living your life, serving your country, but you get kind of catcalled and, diminished by people that have some negative connotation about people who are career military. Well, and then all of a sudden you're a retiree. You're 40 years old, and you just finished your military career, and who in the heck's going to hire a 40-year-old person?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So now we got another stigma. I'm old. I'm 40. nobody's going to hire me.
Yeah.
That's why I ended up to my chest in slop at Hillsborough, North Dakota, at the bottom of the rocket. You know, I still thank Oris Mullen for the opportunity. Oris is the guy that got me the job, and I appreciate it to this day. But there was never an answer in any job I had. And you know this feeling, I'm pretty sure. I never felt fulfilled because I never had the feeling I had when I was in the military.
Absolutely.
Of the teamwork, the mutual expectation of each other, and you had each other's back. There was a certain amount of adrenaline running around the military.
Yeah.
You know, there was some excitement about deploying. There was some excitement about exercises and packing up and moving off station. There was something about, and I never found that.
Never found your fit.
Yeah, I never found a fit, and because I didn't fit, then pretty soon that natural thing inside of me, I started looking for a way out.
Right. Yeah.
Because I didn't fit. I wasn't comfortable. And that circle continued for 15 years.
And to know that you can't find your fit or it's difficult. And of course, that's not for everyone. Some transition to the civilian sector already have everything lined up. They're going to work their dream job. That's great. God bless you. And that's incredible. But many others, on the other hand, go through 27 jobs, goes through 10 or 11 jobs in a few years. They don't. We don't. And you don't feel that purpose or that want or that calling and fill it. You can't fill it. So, you know, the terrible thing happens and that they take their own life. And we don't want that. We want to lead and guide and push and shove and drag sometimes people, individuals to get the help or to know that there's someone that have been through it. Yeah. Right?
John, what you've done here in creating this vehicle, this link, if you will, is you have given people an opportunity to build on a purpose. To have some hope. Yeah. And, you know, we just talked about these jobs, one to another, one to another, one to another. Pretty soon, in some cases, you can't get a job. Nobody will hire you.
Right.
And then you know what happens? Then you're homeless. Then you're going to a soup kitchen to eat, and you're sleeping under a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then pretty soon, Sergeant First Class, or the Lance Corporal, or the Petty Officer Third, or whomever.
Right.
Technical sergeant, used to have big responsibilities and was highly regarded. Pretty soon they have nothing. They have less.
Now they're intent under a bridge.
Yeah.
So, Marv, I don't know if I told you this real quick. I want to inject. This week, I was had an opportunity to go visit some old friends, couple buddies we were stationed in England with.
Yeah.
And they're in Utah and LA area. And this is months ago now, but pulling up, you know, the homeless vets, LA being the number one location for veterans that are homeless. And I would have really loved the opportunity. And I do really see it coming down the future, take an episode to the LA area and talk to some of the homeless and see what we can do. Hopefully, you know, we're going to have a network built up a little more by that time. But talk to these guys and see how we can help them. And you know, any way we can get anything to them, that's what we're going to try and do. So
it's it is a dynamo. It's an engine that once it starts running, you can't hardly stop.
Sure.
And unfortunately, it's not a good engine.
Yeah.
It's not a good cycle. Yeah. It's repeating itself. And, you know, now with the weather changing, we're getting into the fall months, there's some winters here. We still have the specter of COVID hanging over our head.
Right.
And now we have all of these homeless veterans or, you know, veterans that are underserved. And that just can't happen in America in 2020, 2021. There's no excuse for that.
I'm curious to see what type of support you look. I think the second city was Atlanta.
Yeah.
you look at even the top 5 cities that you have a majority of the homeless veterans. What type of VA support, or any support for that matter, do we have for vets that are homeless or needing some support? I'm curious. I need to put some things in perspective and look at those and see what.
I would encourage you to dial up the Robert J. Dole regional office in Wichita, VA, and see if you can somehow or other connect with their homelessness advocate. They got a pretty good program in Wichita, and I know they have had some measures of success.
In Wichita.
Yeah.
We have to take a trip over there one of these days and chit-chat with them.
Right. And I also think you would have an opportunity, although I'm sure this probably have to be cleared by the center director, but probably an opportunity to visit with some PTSD professionals there.
Yeah. We may have to do that.
And maybe, that would make one wonderful show.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Okay. So we may have to do that. OperationPurpose.org is going to be up and running very shortly.
And for everyone who's a family member of Operation Purpose, to feel like they can come here and participate, they can be heard.
No judgment.
This is a no judgment zone.
Judgment free. Yeah. All right, Marv. Well, I appreciate it. And again, we look forward to chit-chatting with you down the road. And I'm excited. Let this begin.
You've been listening to Operation Purpose with John C. Hansen. Thank you for listening to the show. We hope you've gotten some useful information, and we're proud to have you as a member of the family. Till next time, reach out to us on social media. This is Operation Purpose, signing off.